Hey, what's going on, everyone? I got a bummer of a video here today. One of my long-time resident Sulcatas, Brutus, has passed away. And it's really sad.
We sincerely thank all of you happy campers out there.
Your support makes a real difference in our efforts here at Camp Kennan.
This week's special shout out goes to longtime supporter Emma C.
Thank you for all you do and for loving reptiles.
I'm really bummed out. He otherwise was fine. I saw him yesterday, and I think, you know, he was resting but didn't look like anything out of normal. But today I drove in and Hercules here had Brutus up against the barn here, and you can see there was quite a lot of pushing. This is actually from Brutus, this is actually from Hercules. When I left Brutus yesterday, he was right here. It's possible, I really just don't know what happened, whether or not he just died and then Hercules saw he was dead and just started pushing him. There doesn't look like much. I mean, there's obviously some type of struggle, but I don't know if it's from both of them or not. But Brutus was pushed up against here, you know, and there had already been some damage there, so I have to patch that. But yeah, just, it's kind of crazy. You know, you can see here that there's some damage to him right there, and it's possible I didn't see that damage, and maybe he died of an infection. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, the maggots have started to collect on him, and it's just sad, man. He was a great tortoise. I got this tortoise in 2004. He was an adult when I got him. He always had this kind of deformity right there. He was rescued by a woman, Lori Green, from it used to be something called Turtle Homes, and he was found in Long Island, New York, and these kids found him on the street and they were trying to put him in a canal. Obviously he was a tortoise, so canal would not be the greatest way for a tortoise to live, so he was trying to get away from them. And a passerby realized it was a tortoise and brought him to Turtle Homes, and I drove up to New York and drove home with him and a few other species of tortoises and turtles to provide them a home. He's been with me for 17 years. So 17 years I had him, and we've never had a problem. He was always gentle. He was never really a alpha male. Lumpy, who's out back, kind of was always the alpha male. But Brutus would hold his own. If he had to combat, he would hold his own. But generally, he didn't really have to. He fathered quite a few baby tortoises here, and it's just sad to see him like this. I don't know how old he really was. My guess would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 40, and as you know, he could have lived a lot longer. But you know, I hadn't seen any combat at all until this morning when I drove in. I have not seen Hercules combat with him the entire time that he was in this enclosure with Hercules, since I put Hercules in here. So it's really strange, you know. I didn't see anything. I don't know if this is, you know, this might be just from recent day here, recent times. This could have been post-mortem. I just don't know. But it is breeding season for sulcatas at the moment, and that does up the level of testosterone, and the tortoises do in fact become more aggressive during that time. And it's just a bummer, man. It's just you know, one of those things that happens. But It never gets easy when you lose a tortoise or an animal that you really absolutely had a connection with. And Brutus was just, he was that guy, man. He was just so cool. He was unique, you know, his shell and everything about him was just extremely unique, and I loved him. And as you can imagine, I'm sad that this happened. This is not the best way for me to, you know, not the best day here. So it's going to be a little different now in the enclosure. It's going to be a little bit less exciting. There's going to be one less buddy here. Hercules is going to be the only male in here, and you know, there's now 7 tortoises in this enclosure. So Hercules and 6 females. And today is the day where I'm going to be feeding produce to the animals, so I got to get that ready. But now I'm going to have to contend with finding a final resting place for my man here. I'm going to have to dig him a grave, and I'm going to have to get that going. So yeah, guys, that's what's going on. Let me get some things situated, and I'll be right back. So here's Lumpy, and you guys knew or remember that Lumpy actually almost died a couple of years ago, and luckily my vet, Dr. Mike Gillen, really helped me out. We had a feeding tube in him. This is another animal that's so special to me. Lumpy came from Long Island as well, so from my friend Mike Crutali, and I've had that tortoise also 17 years. I think it only fitting that Brutus have his final resting place here in this enclosure where he began life at my farm, and he would graze around the grasses here all the time. Like I said, an amazingly gentle animal. He was a good boy, and I loved him a lot. So the camp is going to be a little bit more sad today and a little bit more empty, as we're going to lay to rest this buddy of mine, Brutus, the biggest, gentlest Sulcata tortoise I ever knew, and I love him. So I'm gonna have to put my hand down here, and I'm gonna need all my strength because he was a big fella, and I'm gonna have to slide him on into this. Oh, and there's already water filling up this hole. Can't go much deeper than this. All right. Okay. All right, friends. Oh, this is sad. I'm gonna get to work filling it in, and I'll see you in a little bit. Well, like I said, things are going to be a little bit less exciting around here. A little bit quieter. No Brutus to come over and wander into the chow line. But life does go on, everybody. And we have to take care of the animals we have. And we have to make their lives as good as we possibly can. It always stinks when an animal that you really love passes away, or anything you really love. Human animals, animals. And what we have to do is we have to make sure that we do everything we can for those of us that are still here to enjoy life and live it to the best that we possibly can. In my 47 years, I've lost quite a few animals and I've lost quite a few people. And man, it never really gets easier. The loss is always the same, but you have to have resolve. You have to keep on going. You have to make sure that you live every single day to the fullest. Because you know what? Nothing is promised and life is short, as I'm finding out. You know, the older you get, the more you realize that there's not as far to look forward to. I don't know. Now that doesn't have to be depressing. It can actually be exciting. It just means that we're going to do a whole bunch of work in the next 40 or 50 years, because that's what I plan on doing here. And hopefully these tortoises will be here with me and I'll still be strong enough to care for them. And maybe I'll have a couple of apprentices named Leo and Sophia to help me out when I get a little too old. I definitely know Sophia's going to be helping me. She tells me she's going to run the camp one day. And it's my wish that when she does and she has her own family, that some of these animals that I've had for my many years are going to be with her and her children for many years to come. It's sad what happened to Brutus. I don't really know exactly how old he was. I do know that he probably had more life in him, but accidents happen. And in fact, who's to say that if he was born in the wild, he wouldn't have been eaten in the first 24 hours of being laid as an egg, or possibly somewhere along the line as he had to grow up. Animals in the wild face incredible odds to make it to adulthood. And that's why survival of the fittest is key. Here in captivity, we do our best. We do our best to mimic that natural selection, to mimic life in the wild, but they have the added benefit of having food when they need it, shelter. As you can see, there's Hercules and one of the females sleeping inside. They haven't quite figured out that I'm feeding them yet. But it's been my great privilege to be the steward of Brutus, and I hope that wherever his spirit is gone, he knows that I did what I could for him, and I did my best for the last 17 years. So I just want to say thanks to Brutus for just really being an awesome tortoise. And I know many of you have animals that you've lost, or animals that you really care for. So keep it up. Keep working hard, no matter the setbacks, because I'm sure that those animals appreciate everything you guys do for them. All right, everyone. Not so much the happiest video today, but I always like to show you what's going on in my life here at the camp and what's going on in my animals' lives, or even the end of them. So, all right, everyone. I'm gonna leave you now with some of the gals crunching away on some collard greens. Thanks so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let Brutus know in the comments that you appreciated him. He's been around for a long time. Take care.